So welcome back to the Theatres of Dreams. This is the extra time edition, and you've got Don Bars, normally in Bars Towers, but he's on location at the moment, scouting players right across the country. And of course, bringing up the Liverpool part of the trio is Richard Irvine, coming to you from just south of Cheshire. How are you guys? It seems like it's been a while, but it's just been a lot of football, hasn't there?
Just a fortnight, yeah. We skipped to last week because of the all we had to deal with was the international games, and wasn't a lot of excitement. But there's lots to talk about since that, Rodney.
Well, there's been a lot of football. There's, of course, been the Manchester Derby. We'll come on to that. 3 nights of Champions League football as well, which has confused the life out of me. Not that that's hard to do. And some players who have found a sudden resurgence after moving team. Quite amazing. But anyway, let's start with the Derby. Now here's my pitch, Dom. Okay,
Looking forward to this.
My pitch is that actually it was. You guys, obviously you won 3-0, right? Got that. But I thought that you weren't playing your traditional style of systematic ticky-tacky football. Those goals were scored by very individual play, almost on the break type thing. And it was because of the brilliance of the 3 players who played it. But it wasn't because of any sort of systematic breaking us down, if you like,
Yeah. Before the game, and I didn't speak to you last week, but anybody who was asking me for the 48, 72 hours before, I was thinking anything could happen. Both teams to score, maybe a draw, lots of mistakes, a lack of quality. That's what I was expecting. When the team sheet came out, it was, to be fair to United, the City team sheet was the best City team sheet for a year. Now, I'm not saying all of them were fit or fully fit and fully at it. Rodri was at best 50% of his actual ability, but 50% of a Rodri is still better than nearly everyone in the league, right? So the spine, which has been City's lack of control. Everyone's going, oh, where's it going wrong with City? We can't control a game. But when you suddenly have a proper goalkeeper, no disrespect to James Trafford, but a proper keeper who's punching everything and mentally is a winner at the top level. Then you've got Ruben Dias and Vardy Alback. That 3 with the keeper, the communication and the control meant that you weren't getting a sniff anyway. Yeah. And then Rodri, and then Foden, and then Haaland. I'm not being funny. If all of them are on it, that's the best spine in the world. But they're not fully at it yet, which is a different story of why Liverpool are still hot favourites. But they just happen to get us with everybody back in. So I don't think, from the moment that team sheet came out, there was ever going to be another score, to be honest with you, Rod.
And it was interesting because it started off with a tale of 2 keepers. You sign your Donnarumma and you put him straight in. We sign Lamens and we don't. And, I don't know what message that says to Lamens, whether, it's protecting him or what. But Donnarumma makes a great save, I think, in the second half. A fantastic save down to his right-hand side. His full frame stretch for that goal. And I don't know. I don't know what message it sent to Lamens that he wasn't selected. It was
Peter Schmeichel, one of Man United's probably one of the most famous goalkeepers, thinks that you've really made an absolute mess of this goalkeeper situation. One, not signing Donnarumma.
Donnarumma, yeah, absolutely.
Or he thinks actually you should have gone for Martinez. He thinks he would be in the and he's Schmeichel, who obviously knows a lot of in the goalkeeping game, says he's never even heard of this guy. And Schmeichel has no really reason to be hard on Man United, but he is, and he's saying that to buy a goalkeeper like that and not even play him. Whereas Man City, I heard him talking about this, bought Donnarumma, put him straight in, saying, we trust you, and paid off dividends. But it adds to, I hate to say it, Rodney, but your club seems in a right mess at the moment. A real mess.
I am in therapy, I have to say.
No, but really, I mean,
no, seriously.
It's and then to listen to him afterwards, Amarim, He's not going to flex with that system. And I think it's maybe some people are saying it's not so much the system, it's the personnel. But he has had time now to change that personnel. And I don't know. I think you're going to have a dire season. I do.
There's a lack of quality, isn't there, Rich? There's a lack. There's still, when you're watching those two teams again, look, it's not being what's the word, patronising. As soon as you see the two teams playing in the calibre, there's a gulf, right? So 3-0 is what you would expect, to be truthful, right? Football's a great game. That's why we love it. Last year we didn't play as well. We were 1-up, and United came and beat us 2-1 when Ahmad did two brilliant moments of magic. And I still think on that game, the only person I was a little bit anxious about when he got the ball was Ahmad. But relying on the lad at such a young age, we have an Oscar Bob of the same level, because I do think Ahmad's quality. I'd have him at City. But we bring an Oscar Bob on for the last 15 minutes to just have some play and get some game time, whereas you're relying on that kid to fix the game for you. And, Fernandez, it was just, look, you were just chasing shadows. But to be fair, I don't think you judge United on that game. There was obviously ranting from Roy Keane about where's the lack of... There was not one yellow card.
No.
Right? I mean, I'm not being funny. Hack somebody down. Do something. I
actually picked up on the tunnel beforehand. You know how Keane hates all this hugging and handshakes and stuff. It was all going on before the game. The new goalkeeper for City hugging someone in United, and it was all that fierce kind of mentality, rivalry seemed to be gone for me straight away.
I mean, to be honest, I'm now numb when it comes to United at the moment, because I don't look at this as just being an issue with the manager, because really he's a head coach and he's got a whole footballing department around him. There's more people now involved in the football management side of Old Trafford than ever before. So this is a systematic problem. And I look at some of the players. I mean, I personally for this weekend would drop Shaw, and I think I would actually drop Fernandez, because they were two of the worst players on the pitch, in my view, the derby last week. And I would bring Manu straight back in again. But
you mentioned Manu. This is a guy that wants to leave, isn't it?
Well, he wants to play because he wants World Cup football. He's worried that if he doesn't play regularly for United, he won't get into the England team, and he wants to get in the England team. So he would probably, be prepared to leave if they aren't going to play him. Now, you don't know. I mean, that's the problem. You don't know whether that's him playing and his agent saying something. It's a bargaining chip,
I just think, when you've got Rashford, who's a United supporter, come through the academy, who will not perform and does not want to play for Man United. And now, as we were talking about off camera, played a blinder for Barcelona last night.
Yeah.
McTominay, I think there's something really wrong with that.
No. I think there's two different... The Rashford thing and the McTominay thing, I think, are two different things. We gave up on McTominay a little bit, and we probably sold him too early, right? But at the time, but with Rashford gave up on Manchester United, and Rashford his agent was using that situation to get him more money, higher profile, etc. So I actually don't think that United gave up on Rashford. I think Rashford and his management team gave up on United. Now, and the fact he scored 2 wonder goals, was it last night for Barcelona? 2 goals. You sort of think, why couldn't you have done that for us? But you were.
Well, he did. He did on occasion.
But that's the problem, Richard. Latterly in his career, his body language on the pitch was that of a spoiled brat and somebody that you just didn't want to even look at. And that's because he was huffing. He wasn't being professional. He was huffing. Now he's got his move to Barca. It's a bright, shiny new thing. He looks like a totally brilliant player.
And with the Yamal not playing last night, it was a perfect opportunity.
Great. And I was pleased for him because, he's showing his class, and he's got it. But he should have been able to show that in a Manchester United team that was struggling at the time. So I think it was. I think what's interesting about this game was that, it was a pretty poor game, even for a 3-0 in a way. I mean, it lacked a certain intensity. I'm not saying that it was that's the reason for the yellow cards. I mean, our stats are we had this almost the same number of shots as you, but we can't convert.
But how can Haaland score from that ball that was played from inside City's half? Haaland wasn't even
Nobody tracked him.
He was before the halfway line.
Yeah.
How can he be allowed to do that?
Yeah, but nobody tracked them, and that's.
I think I think you're right. There was a lot of misplaced passes on both sides. Those stats, I mean, it's quality. Like Haaland right now is the best I've ever seen him.
Really,
right?
really.
Honestly, he's the best I've ever seen him. Right? Did you see them 4 headers in succession he did with defending?
Yes.
At one point, right? Honestly, that lad is potentially, we're talking Ballon d'Or, Player of the Year. Even if City don't win the title, he could be still player. He's absolutely on another level than I've ever seen him. I know he's had high goal scoring stats in, but his hold up play and his involvement and his leadership, he's suddenly looking the real deal that he should do.
And Dom, he's such a physical presence.
Oh, honestly, it was fantastic. His goal, that second goal, was it Haaland's first? That was beautiful. It was a meg from O'Reilly, around the corner from Foden. Doku actually did some end product, and then Haaland just dinks it over. That is a quality goal. So I think as much as United weren't at it, there was signs of City's excellence in there, in spasms.
Yeah.
I still think we've got a problem on Sunday with Arsenal over 90 minutes, but there's spasms of, oh, right, okay, we're not back, but that's more like it. And so I think, I'm just put it into context. I just think the most disappointing thing was, as basic as it is, there wasn't a yellow card. There weren't that many fouls. Is that because you couldn't get near us? Partly because he kept moving the ball, but actually, I mean, Shaw had a poor game, but he played his back five. He had a back five, and he was one of the centre backs.
Yeah.
What is that about? He was a centre back in the back five, and Harry Maguire's on the bench.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Well, and in the centre of midfield, with Bruno and Ugarte there, you have very little cover, and
they're trying, but I don't think they're good enough. It's a quality issue, and it's an endemic problem that you worry now, don't you? If you're a top player, right? If you're Kuna or Mbeumo, they've done it now. But you think, I hope this doesn't ruin my career, because there is a track record of people wanting to play for United, but like you say, the lack of intensity. The only example I can give you, which is really damning on United, is that was like a traditional home game against Leicester.
At Stoke, aye.
It was a comfortable 3-0, and you sort of defended deep and were a bit dogged for a bit, and then once we get one, it's over, isn't it? Once it's 1-0, it's over.
The thing for me, and I'm not a great tactician in football, right? But I am not seeing enough repeatable patterns, linkages between players, and you sort of think that, I don't know whether it's because some of these players feel like they're round pegs and score holes or what, but you don't see that linkage, you don't see that connectiveness between the players, and I still can't understand our pattern of play at the moment, really.
Next game, apparently Radcliffe's had a meeting with Anarin, but that was apparently was always scheduled.
Yeah.
But next game you've got Chelsea, haven't you?
Yeah, we have at home on Saturday.
Two very interesting games that they are: Arsenal, City, United, Chelsea.
It's an awful run-in, but I have to say, and I said this on Wednesday's podcast, I'm no longer angry. I'm just numb now. I'm almost resigned at the moment to expecting them not to actually turn up and put a shift in, and that's an awful way to be. But I just at the moment, I don't know who to trust in the team to do a decent job. Actually, to do their job.
Let me ask you this: what player from Man United at the moment would get into either City's team or Liverpool's team? Because I don't think not one.
Not on current form.
Only one. but we haven't seen him play properly yet, and that's Kuna. Kuna gets into any team, but
he's injured as well. He's been out.
Yeah, he's out. So he's top draw. He gets into any of our teams. I would say, Rich, in the league, he's that good. But he's made that decision to go to United. I think he could have gone anywhere. Bayern. I mean, the recruitment was good to a point, but that centre forward, poor lad, in touching the ball, looks scared today. I mean, just can't get any service. I think we said this maybe a couple of weeks ago. When you see, it's not even about money. When you see Grant Xhaka going at Sunderland and Paulina, both of them for next to nothing or on loan, Paulina at Tottenham, either of them or both of them should have been at United. It's not. It's amazing to say this, and as a 50-odd-year-old, that people aren't that bothered about playing for United at the moment. That's unbelievable.
Well,
to say
the problem goes back to, Rodney, is that because you're not even in Europe at any level.
No, I know
it doesn't attract players. I mean, players really want to. It's like I say, it's a short career. The European the Champions League now is expanding with this kind of league format that we're in at the moment. Lots of European games. Players want to play in that type of football.
Yeah, but Richard, I mean, we have attracted footballers, right? We have we've attracted Sesko. I actually think Cunha is a good buy. It's a sensible buy because in the past our buying philosophy, I think, has been more based on a player's social media profile than it has been about their football ability. So I don't think there's with the team that we have at the moment, I don't think there's anything wrong with the technical capability in theory of our first 11. There seems to be a problem where they are not working as a unit, and somewhere, whether it's coaching or whatever it is, I don't know, whether it's even just culture at the moment, we're not able to get the best out of these. And of course, we've got a manager who seems not to want to change his system ever. We're playing exactly the same style all the time. And you sort of think, well, even the best coaches change it up occasionally, depending on the occasion. He seems to be so determined to play this 3-4-2-1 type formation that in some ways you sort of, I don't know, it's really weird, I've got to say. And I mean, we've had mediocrity for so long since Ferguson left, really, but this feels different. And I sometimes people said to me, he looks like he wants to walk. He looks like he wants to leave already. And I think there's an issue there with the whole body language thing. He needs an arm around him. He's only a 40-year-old coach, I think he needs an arm around him in some ways, because his body language is displaying all sorts of stuff. And his post-match press conferences are ambiguous at times. They lead to more debate and discussion. So I mean, and Chelsea lying fifth at the moment with 2 wins out of 4 and 2 draws. I sort of think I don't have much confidence going.
Is it at Chelsea or is it?
No, it's at Old Trafford. It's 5 o'clock. It's a 5:30 kickoff on.
And who's to say Garnacho is not going to have something in that game?
Yeah.
The only thing is Chelsea are still brilliantly unpredictable. So let's, you know what I mean. I mean, if anyone's going to give you a chance when they think every time you think Chelsea are going to challenge for the title or something, then they're brilliant at getting a daft result. So we'll see.
But this take another example. I'm just looking at the league table here. Villa, who had a fantastic season last season, have not won a game. I don't think they've actually scored recently.
Well, they did score a goal the other night. I think it may have been. It was Harvey Elliott. It was in the cup game, and they went out on penalties to Brentford, I think.
So it's in the league. I don't think they've scored in the league.
No.
And they've got
you're right.
2 draws, 4 games, 2 defeats, of course, 2 points. And nobody's talking about Villa at the moment at all. And that's a big story. That's a big story.
That's status, though, isn't it? Because we all want to talk about United because of a giant. Villa are a big club, but they've just stopped buying anybody, and they've had a really weird situation where they just didn't do anything in the summer, and it's biting them on the bum already.
To be fair, Harvey Elliott's only just been bought at the end of this transfer window, so he's missed the first couple of games. So I think Harvey Elliott will score goals for Villa.
And then West Ham Potter. I mean, 1 win out of 3 points. I mean,
well, there's talk about there's rumours that they're looking at what's their old is it Bilic? Is Bilic?
Yes.
There's rumours about him possibly going back there.
I called Potter to be the first sacking until Nottingham Forest chairman decided to lose his marbles and fall out with his manager. But Potter will be gone within a week.
Well, this is what I find interesting, you see, because you've obviously got now Nuno currently not obviously was left, and I just think Amorim. How much longer? See, if you lose against Chelsea and then the next game, Nuno is going to start to be mentioned in that a possible job at United, and if West Ham get rid of Potter, they'll also look at Nuno. So I don't know. I just think Amorim's a dead man walking at the moment. He just looks forlorn.
He won't go anywhere. He won't go anywhere. United will try and back it because of the fact that they've just changed too often. They'll stick with it.
I think we can't afford to let him go. It's 15 million quid or something like that.
But this is another headline this week, Rodney, that I'm sure you're aware of, that you've actually posted huge profits, haven't you?
Yes,
now, I know a massive chunk of that is a Snapdragon payment, isn't there? But what have you got to say about that?
Well, we earned record financial revenue of 666 million quid last year, despite finishing 15th. The Snapdragon deal was a big part of that. Okay, this is the irony of it, is that off the pitch financially, the business is still doing quite well. And that side of things is actually quite well run, but the results will catch up with them because there'll be need to do other deals in the next few years, and people will stop buying into it, but also attendances are staying up at the moment, Now there's a whole thing in the BBC just that broke about the whole ticketing thing, and we'll come on to that maybe another week. But the stadium is still quite full. I sense that there's a little bit of debate amongst the fan base. And there's a little bit of splintering around, are you pro Amorim, are you not, or whatever. But anyway, it's...
And what camp do you fall in?
I like he's interviewed you.
You're taking a long time to answer that.
Well, it's because I don't know, Richard. I think ultimately I am pro Amorim, because I look at it and think there's been so many other changes behind the scenes at United in the footballing department. You've other people in there now who are influential on who we buy, how we scout, and everything else. And I think this isn't just about him. And actually the hierarchy needs to support him a little bit. He's only young. He's 40 years of age, and I mean, you could turn around and say, well, 40, surely he's been managing for the last 5, 6, 7 years. But I honestly think that people, when they come into the Premiership and they come into a club like United, it's like being hit by a full force gale. The demands, the media attention, all of that, it's amplified in the Premier League compared to other leagues, no matter how good and big they are. And then you take a high-profile club, likes of Liverpool, likes of a City, likes of Manchester United, and that becomes even more. And and people are talking about his record going back to when he first came in. And it's I think it's almost the same amount of goals and points as there is games, something like that, roughly. So it's almost like a point a game. Yeah. Now, he could turn around and say, I didn't want to come in mid-season last season. I wanted to wait. You forced me to come in, and I wanted the job, so I had to come in. I can't be responsible for that. And actually, I feel like that legacy, that history, is dragging him down. You sort of go, new season, new start. Okay, not brilliant, but As football fans do, I'll turn up again on Saturday. I'll go and get my fish and chips on my way down to the ground.
Yeah.
I'll be everything's.
I mean, if you
again,
turn up,
that's the way it is, Tom, isn't it?
If you turn up on Saturday and beat Chelsea, then it will definitely dampen.
We'll be like, we're back.
Football is very, very fickle. So
very fickle.
If you'd have asked me before the derby, I'm thinking, oh, dear me, this is going to be a long season, right? 6 days later, after that win,
and then the win last night.
The win last night, and it's seeing the team, and going back to what Rod said right at the beginning of the conversation, the way that City are amending their style of play, with this more direct way. It's certainly not like direct Liverpool way, but it's not as ticky tacky. That it gives great hope to go into Arsenal that it isn't quite a done deal. I mean,
No.
Let's be truthful. You as a Liverpool fan, Rich, will be thinking, all right, that was going to be a pretty easy 3 points, to be truthful, for Arsenal on Sunday. A 1-0, 2-0. We'll try, but we'll huff and puff, and Haaland won't touch the ball. But now you're looking and seeing that lad on fire means that anything can happen on Sunday.
Yeah.
And actually, what you want is you want us to win, because that means that Arsenal, as great as they are, will have lost 2 already against Liverpool and City. Now, all of a sudden, that puts a little bit more pressure on Arsenal. Granted, if it goes, still, I think Arsenal are favourites. But that's the fickleness of football, that you go in there as a fan optimistic that we could now go to the Emirates and maybe just give them something to think about, because we look a lot better. I worry that, I think if my heart says that, but my head says it's a few weeks too early to play them, and we won't quite have the legs in the last 20 minutes. So if I'm a betting... I
don't know, you've just come off 2 good victories. I think it's a good time to play.
It's a good time. No, it is, but we haven't quite got, like, Rodri's having to come off still on 60 minutes-ish, and there just isn't quite the ability to get through, I think, 90 minutes of intensity at the Emirates. When you're playing, going toe-to-toe with the big guns, I think it's a 90-minute thing.
What can you tell us about last night's atmosphere with De Bruyne coming back?
So I wasn't there. I was away working. But all I do know, I mean, I've not been back to Manchester till later, but obviously got great reception. And when unfortunately he came off after 20 minutes, I mean, selfishly for City fans, that was about perfect for us. We got to give him the fanfare, get the banners out, sing his name without him hurting us on the pitch. I mean, that was perfect, right? For him, I felt a bit sorry because he'd have liked to have played more. But
he was taken off. He was taken off, wasn't he, because someone was sent off?
Yeah, so he came. He had to come off. He hasn't got the legs in a 10-man team. It was the right strategic decision to just try and dig in. And Napoli a good side, but it did make it at least a little bit easier. Which I've got to be honest, we deserve a bit of luck, because have you seen the fixtures? We get a Sunday derby, we get a Thursday night Napoli, and then we get a Sunday Arsenal. I mean, the fixture. I mean, and I'm not saying that just as a City fan. There's versions of that will happen to Liverpool and Arsenal. So it just doesn't. It doesn't ever help.
Let's go back to last Sunday, because the lunchtime kickoff was Burnley Liverpool, and I was watching this and I was getting slightly excited about the idea that Liverpool would come away with a draw against a very determined Burnley, and with only 10 men on the pitch after a red card in the 84th minute. But then Hannibal, who I don't know if he's on loan from us or we sold him to Burnley, but an ex-United player anyway, handles the ball in the box, puts his arm up. I don't know what the heck he was doing.
He turned his back,
He turned his back to the ball, but he put his arm up at the same time. And Salah, on the fifth minute of time added on, slots home a simple penalty for me. And you look at that game, Richard, and you turn around and say, that's what champions do. They win despite. And you could have come away with a draw there. It could have been worse.
We had huge possession. It was something like 90 and 95%, but they parked the bus and more. But that Liverpool have got to, the top teams have got to get used to this parking the bus business, because obviously Burnley wanted the point, and they very nearly got it. We haven't, like everyone's saying, we haven't actually quite gelled yet. I mean, Isak played last night for the other night for the first time, which was a bit of a surprise. But really, the new players like Wirtz and the left back, they haven't. Kirkes haven't really gelled yet, but it's going to take a few more games, I think, before they start gelling. But to get the results they're getting whilst not playing brilliantly is a good sign. I can't wait to see them when they're playing really good football, though.
Well, you got to say, I mean, Burnley were resolute because you had 27 shots versus 3, an XG of 2.45. You had 81% of the possession, and my God, I felt for Burnley because you feel like you've put in this heroic effort. You've gone in through the 90, and then somebody puts their hand up in the box when they didn't.
I know. I actually cringed when Jamie Carragher said, "Oh, what's he doing? He's brain dead." I thought, "Oof, that's a bit heavy."
Oh, that's heavy. It's hard to understand. But anyway, let's move to Champions League because we've had a triple night of Champions League action. I can't really enjoy it at all because we're not involved. But 3 nights because there was no what's it called now? The other cup,
Europa League.
Yeah.
Europa League, exactly, and there will be next week. I think 3 nights Europa League. But let's start with the Tuesday night: Arsenal 2, Athletic Club 0, and then Tottenham Hotspur get a win against Villarreal. The game of the night must have been Juventus Borussia Dortmund 4-4. I heard my son shouting like mad downstairs about this game.
I watched that one. I watched that. Because there was 2 options. There was the Real Madrid on the telly.
Marseille.
I just don't like. Yeah, once it got to 1-1, you knew it was going to happen there. But that's a bit of a dead game, if I'm truthful. But I thought, okay, well, let's have a look at this Borussia and Juventus thing, because last weekend, Juventus had been involved in a 4-3 thriller, right? It was 0-0 at half time, that game. There was not hardly a shot on target. It was like watching paint dry. Second half, 8 goals.
Yeah.
It was 4-2. There was a situation where there was 3 goals in 3 minutes, ridiculous. And then it went on, and then it got to, and Borussia then got in front 4-2 in the and then in the 93rd and the 96th minute, Juventus scored to make it 4-4. I tell you what, quality of the goals was magnificent. It was brilliant, great entertainment.
And an Englishman to boot who scored the equaliser for Juventus, Lloyd Kelly, who I'd never heard of, actually.
I've never heard of him.
No. Good to see these lads. Honestly, it was brilliant. I really enjoy the Champions League. Is now 3 nights all the time because it's about TV viewing figures again and getting more games on the box.
Is that how it's going to be? It's week about. Is it?
Yeah. And I love the format. I said last year, City paid the price of the format, but I still enjoyed it, and I really like it. We play Napoli, brilliant. All right, we get a result. Next time we've got somebody completely different. I just think it's really like as a neutral to watch lots of different games is important for viewing figures, and actually as a fan, I just think the whole thing about Europe, obviously trying to win it, but is about the enjoyment of seeing these international fans come to your own stadium.
Alexander-Arnold, who's been having apparently a little bit of a tough time at Real Madrid, started the game and then pulled his hamstring. Yeah. And then the guy that he's vying for that place in that position, is it right back?
Carvial. He got sent off.
He got sent off for a headbutt. So it's not really working out very well for Alexander-Arnold at the moment, of course. I know the press is trying to make that more of a story than maybe it is, but yeah.
But but remember they did it with Rashford as well only a week or so ago, and now it's just not very. The media are just not very nice. They're just looking to kick people.
Yeah.
It was all this problem with Rashford. What I don't see him saying anything now after his 2 goals last night. They'll turn the tide.
Do you know what is interesting though? That I think the Spanish league or the Italian leagues and the German leagues have really kicked on. And there's a lot of goals now being scored. But you can get into a game very, very cheaply. My son's heading to Milan for their game on Sunday, and I think his ticket is less than 20 quid, and it's a legitimate through the club ticket. Now you sort of think, Michael,
what game's this, Rodney?
He's going to the game at Inter Milan are playing in it's a league game, and I forget the club that they're playing against. It's Inter Milan at the I never. I
But
can't
what's the
remember.
interest with your son? Is he there anyway, or
No, he likes going to watch games abroad, and so
oh,
he likes traveling. So he's headed to Milan, and they're playing Sassuolo. I've never heard of them. And it's an evening game, but you can
sounds
get a
like a
ticket.
Phil Collins song?
I
I
was
think
going to say that.
it's just the way.
Cecilia.
It's just the way I've said it. My Northern Irish dialect doesn't really help very well. I was terrible at languages. But, you can get into that game for less than 20 quid. That's mad, really, But there's goals now in those leagues, and there's goals now in the Champions League. I agree with you, Dom. I think the new format is great. So that was Tuesday night in the Champions League, and then Wednesday night, Liverpool 3, Atletico Madrid 2. I didn't see this game, actually.
That's a belter.
Yeah, Diego wasn't very. Simeone wasn't very happy. But then fair play, that blonde lad for them, that guy that scored two, who scored two at Anfield last time. He had a great game. He looks like a player.
I tell you what, though, I mean, there is at the moment, like you say, I do agree. I say it slightly in jest. There is the look of the Scousers at the moment. For goodness sake, I mean, I'm not saying you don't deserve to win games. The stats will tell you that, but last minute goal again. I mean, Van Dijk just is immense, isn't he? And he looks dangerous at every
great
corner.
Cross, great corner.
I genuinely think he's the best centre back. I really do. I think he's the best centre back the league's ever seen. And they'll all go, no, it's not.
Best the league's ever seen, you think, Tom?
Yeah, as an individual player. There's pairs, Vidic and Ferdinand, and you know what I mean? But as an individual centre-back, I think he gets into every single team. The Invincibles, the best. Honestly, he
speaks well as well, doesn't he?
Clever.
Speaks well after the game.
Clever.
Well.
He's
a good
like
captain.
Intelligent.
A good captain.
Brilliant. You can't ever... It's only jealousy that makes you criticise him. He's brilliant.
No.
And a great header. He's a brilliant header of the ball, isn't he, from crosses and corners?
Yeah.
But do you know what it is though? The XG doesn't often lie. I mean, you had 20 shots to their 10, and although not only 6 on target, but when you're peppering the goal like that, things can happen.
Actually, Salah, you didn't see it on him, but I can tell you that Salah's goal was a real vintage Salah again.
Yeah, it was.
Dribbled round, placed it well, and he actually missed a really good chance, hit the post. That should have been game over, really.
But then again, you're scoring in 4 minutes, you're scoring in 6 minutes. My goodness, that's momentum, isn't it? Actually, to get
first goal was very fortuitous. It ricocheted off.
I still think the hope for the rest of the league is they're still porous in the midfield. They haven't got that right yet, and it's the combination. I mean, at some point, I hope it doesn't happen. They'll work it out, but there's too many games when you're giving away goals. You've got to. If you're going to win this title ahead of Arsenal, I still think it's you two and then us across the season. You've got to get more clean sheets because our Arsenal squad, it's not as good on the eye as you lot. But I tell you, they are there till the bitter end. That Arsenal team, they are. They're ready. They're ready to properly win this title and take it off you if you slip. And you're giving too many goals away at the moment. You need to sort that out. It's the midfield. It's not the back two. Kanate looks a bit wobbly at times, but I don't think they're getting the protection. I just said Van Dijk's the best defender we've ever seen, but you're giving away 2 goals again. Like, it's just closing things down in the middle. It's just millimetres. It's just not sharp enough yet.
And this turned to last night in Champions League because more goals as well. I mean, Club Brugge 4, Monaco 1. But the big game, well, you were playing a Napoli side that had a few Manchester United players in the lineup as well.
Yeah, great result. Great team, that Napoli. Champions last year, flying again this year. Again, without repeating what I said, we put the same team out. Really like the fullbacks that we've decided to opt on at the moment, O'Reilly and Kushinov. Nobody's really talked too much about that. The return of Foden. I'm not saying like there's going to be an incredible 10-run winning streak like we've done in the past. I don't think we're there. But I'm feeling at the moment that we can do really well in Europe. That's how I feel at the moment. I think City could do incredibly well because of the style of play and the personnel we've got. And if we get enough wins now, by the time we get into the knockout stages, we'll be purring. But I think we'll be too late to keep up
Can
with
you
Liverpool and
remind me,
Arsenal.
if Haaland gets injured, who do you have as backup?
We'll just play Haaland in a wheelchair or something. I mean, he'll still. No, yeah, of course. You need luck. You know, we all need luck, don't we?
But who is your backup striker then?
We ain't got one.
Oh,
We don't have a 9. It'd be Marmouche probably. He's not a 9.
Marmouche, yeah.
It'd be Marmouche. He's injured at the moment. We've got a few out as well, but I think the team is playing. And honestly,
John Stones. What's happening with John Stones, Dom?
He's injured. He's injured again. So he started off. The best back four is Vardy Diaz. Kushnoff is powerful and fast, and he's a big boy. He's much better than Rico Lewis physically. He's not, his passing is very good. His tackles are quite agricultural, but he'll always get a yellow card. But I really want him to get that berth at the right. And honestly, can't say highly enough about Nico O'Reilly. He's a midfielder who just play. He's in the academy, but he came in last year and just slotted in. We've done it before with Zinchenko, who was a midfielder, played number 10 for the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right, and he became a fullback. We did it with Delph. Right, we've never really had a fullback since Kolarov or Clichy. And we just do it with midfielders. Honestly, O'Reilly is elegant. He's all right. Defensively, he's still got a couple of bits to learn on. But I'd be really happy with them. There's a consistent back four. So I'm feeling really positive about City at the moment, though with an air of, I don't think that's enough. If we get a result at Arsenal, then that throws the cat amongst the pigeons a bit, because you go, right, okay, but it's you guys will win at Everton. So it's a bit, can we keep hold of Liverpool, or are they just going to win the first 10 and it's going to be a non-contest again? That's my worry. But the Napoli game, they got a red card after 20 odd minutes. We were patient, we were organised, we probed, and we scored another brilliant goal. I mean, Foden's little Rodri, it was Rodri to Foden little lift to Haaland. And if anybody wants to know why we didn't do very well, it's because those three never played together on the pitch once last season.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. And then in Newcastle up at the Toon, it was Newcastle 1. Gordon scored in the 90th minute. Marcus Rashford with a brace for Barcelona on his Champions League debut for his new club on loan, I believe he still is. But I mean, the 2 great goals from Rashford. My God, he was like a man reborn.
Beautiful header, and what a shot!
Oh, the way he took it around the box and found the space. Oh.
Thomas Tuchel was watching as well.
Yeah, he's on loan actually. He got a standing ovation from the Barcelona fans when he was taken off. But where have you been, Rashford? What? I'm pleased for him. I'm really pleased for him. But yeah, there you go. I saw it was Champions League.
He must wake up and pinch himself. He's playing for Barcelona next to all these couple of superstars. And he's in the Champions League, and he's just about to. They haven't finished the refurbishment of the stadium, but when the new Camp Nou is finished, it'll probably one of be the most amazing stadiums in the world. He must wake up every morning and think. It's not too long ago I was having all-nighters in Belfast, and was all over the press, not wanting to play football. Just how quickly it changes.
Anyway, we've lost Dom temporarily. His connection in the sticks is gone off. But let's just talk about the weekend fixtures. I was actually going to ask him about Man City women are playing Tottenham tonight at 7:30 down in London, and then the Don Barnes is returned. He's coming back in live from his remote location. You got the Liverpool derby. That's a big game at lunchtime on Saturday, Richard.
Well, Dom was just saying that he thinks we'll win that comfortably. So we'll wait and see. I think is that at the new stadium, Everton's new stadium?
No, it's at your place. It's
at Anfield. Well, then we will be strong favourites. Then, yes, of course.
And let's see who else. There's Brighton, Hove Albion, Tottenham at 3 o'clock. Burnley, Nottingham Forest. That'll be a good game, I think. West Ham United versus Crystal Palace, 3 o'clock. Wolves versus Leeds, and then United versus Chelsea. We sort of discussed that a little bit. I have no idea how that's going to go. And then the evening kickoff is an all London for Fulham versus Brentford. You must be playing then on a Sunday, so you're at Arsenal. That is a humdinger of a game, Dom.
Yeah. I will just see what happens, eh? I just hope we turn up and put a performance on, and then we'll just see what the result will be like. But I'm much more hopeful. I'm feeling quite upbeat about the season now.
Quite a
all of a sudden,
difficult place to quite a difficult place to go to, isn't it? Really, the Emirates, and come away with a win. I think City would be quite happy with a draw. I think Liverpool would be quite happy if that game was a draw, actually, nullifying.
Do you know what has been, though? There's been a lot of big games already this season. And this game on Sunday is it's huge because it sort of says to us whether Arteta is up for it this year and can tactically match the likes of Pep and also the Liverpool manager. So it's a huge game, and for City, it's all about keeping the momentum going and not slipping on the table. So
I think it's a fascinating fixture.
It really is. It really is. You know, and
I think the guy up front, the guy up front for Arsenal is starting to look good, isn't he? Because he's getting some
scoring goals. So that
was a beautiful goal. Yeah, he scored a great goal last week. Eze, Madueke, and him are good signings, and Zubimenda got two. The depth in squad means that they're going. I promise you, they'll go the whole. They're ready. This is their push. They've been so close. It's if City can get amongst that, it'd be brilliant. But it's early in it. But if they went and lost that. That'll be a real dent.
Yeah.
And on Sunday there are 4 games in the Women's Super League. Liverpool take on Aston Villa at lunchtime in Birmingham, and the United Women are playing Arsenal at a strange time, 2:50. Really strange time. I don't understand that at all. And then your Monday night match. There is nothing in the Premier League. It's the Championship. Before we finish, we've got to mention Ricky Hatton. Because I know there would have been a lot of emotion at the City match at the weekend, but an unbelievable boxer, Dom. I don't know if you ever got to watch him box, did you?
Yeah. Again, lucky enough to be old enough to remember him in his pomp, and it was so exciting. Only as a lad from an area called Hattersley, which is a real rough part of North Manchester, right? It's just a very normal, humble Mancunian.
Yeah, really was, and it's sad in a way that often these down to earth characters can struggle in their lives a little bit post retiring. It really is, but I'm sure there was a lovely tribute to him at the Derby. I believe there was, and I have to say. The grief on Pep's face afterwards, it showed real emotion, and obviously displayed the love that the team had for Ricky Hatton and he had for his club. Really, it was a real touching moment.
At the Derby, like you say, they had to pull it together very quickly, and the United fans are absolutely brilliant, because it's not about the blue and the red with him. He was a Manchester lad representing the city, and it just his normalness is a big thing in Manchester, isn't it? And everyone's it was a proper Manchester celebration. There was a lot of tears in the crowd, a lot of tears, and a lot of people. So many can go, "Oh, I'd met Ricky," because he was so accessible, right? For such a superstar. And actually, I was lucky enough that I didn't spend time personally with him, but the season, the Aguero season, where we sat that season with me and Gabe and my lad when he was 10, was his family were the row of seats behind us, and he'd often sneak in there with one of the tickets now and again. Lovely gang, just a lovely gang. And the day that we won with Aguero, him and his gang were all right directly behind us. You know what I mean? So and there's loads of people with daft examples who would know him from his boxing days and down the local boozer probably and all sorts of stuff. But look, just whatever demons he had, incredibly sad situation. But the way that it was dealt with by all blue and red on last week. And
of course, we don't know the circumstances of his death, and it may just be because apparently he was retraining for a bit of a comeback, whether it was some kind of exhibition, but he was supposedly in a good place. So this may just be a sudden medical issue that no one saw coming.
I don't think so. From what I've been told around town, I don't think that was the case. And I think, you know what, none of us are psychologists. How many times do you hear that phrase of, well, he seemed all right? And
I didn't realize because the press aren't really talking about it, but we're talking.
No, I don't want to be distasteful or anything, but he disappeared for a couple of days and no one was getting hold of him, and he had to go into his place, didn't he? So that's the chat around Manchester. But look, as I said, you don't know what's going on in people. You don't know what's going on in people's minds ever. No.
Well, look, it shows you. I mean, when you switch lanes from being in the forefront of any sport or any activity, any career, and then you switch lanes to retiring. For footballers today, it's somewhat easier because they can go into coaching, management, they can go into media. Boxing is very, very different, and because it's such a solo career as well. I got to say, I was delighted that there was such a good tribute to him. He is a Manchester lad. I mean, a City supporter, but one that Manchester really, all of Manchester loved. R.I.P. Yeah. Ricky Hatton. One last thing, and it was a little stat that I saw that got me last week, was that it had the headline, "The 1 minute wonder goalkeeper," and it's the goalkeeper with the shortest Premier League career, and it turned out to be Nick Culkin, who was a reserve goalkeeper at Manchester United, and apparently he was on for just under an estimated 2 seconds when United beat Arsenal in August 1999. Apparently, he's had the shortest career of anyone on the pitch. It was an interesting article. I mean, I love The Athletic. It's got some great stuff, and it talks about what he did after. And he's now still playing. He came out of retirement, and he's still playing for Radcliffe Borough. He was playing for Radcliffe Borough as of 2010, and then he joined. He's now playing for FC United of Manchester, and that's where he's playing his football at the moment. But a great article on The Athletic if you ever get it. And finally, I mentioned this before, but on the women's football, Everton using Goodison for the stadium of their women's team, I think it's a really good move by them. It shows their investment in women's football. You've done a very similar thing at City, Dom.
Say that again, Rod.
In terms of the investment in women's football, I was just saying that Everton have given Goodison over to their women's team. You've done something similar at City in terms of big investment in the women's game.
Yeah, we've got the Joy Stadium, which is sponsored, but I just think it's a good move for the women's games to be held in proper stadiums. To build the fan bases up. I think it's a good move. And
give the fans proper
Arsenal are doing it. Yeah.
What concerns me sometimes is when I see highlights when I see highlights of a women's game, is that the stadiums sometimes can look very empty, and that concerns me when they play in big stadiums like Goodison, that if they've only got several thousand there, it can look very empty.
Well, you've got an issue. So let's take United. I don't mean to be kicking them when they're down. They have to travel to Lee Sports Village, right? Yeah. Which is not even in Manchester, right? They go and play there in a weird situation. So there's no home advantage. You look at somewhere like Arsenal, who, don't get me wrong, are advanced with their development of their fan base massively. They have made the decision this season that all of their first team games are being held in Emirates. That's a huge, powerful statement. And what they might do is it might hold, say, 60,000, but if their average attendance, they will get that. They will get that. But if it's a bit lower, they just fill the bottom tiers. It's like if City played in the main stadium and they said, right, well, we're going to try and get 20,000 to come. You can put 20,000 in the bottom tiers. And yes, when you look at it on the TV, it looks like there's no atmosphere. But if you're on the pitch and everybody's at the lower tier, and you don't look over your shoulder, it'd be fine. And it's got to do that because City have got the Jow Stadium, which is, I don't know, I'm going to say 5,000. That's not really going to get people going. What about all those fans who don't get to go to the main stadium?
Yes.
Right, who can't afford a normal ticket, but could go and watch the women for 15 quid. I just think they don't get it right.
It's a couple of seasons now ago, but it happened to be on a bank holiday when there was no men's football on, and I went to see the United women play at Old Trafford, and I think it was they're playing a team from London. There were 33,000 people at that. And the great thing about it was that people who don't get to go to Old Trafford all the time can, the whole family, the tickets are affordable, etc. More needs to be done. I mean, we've just had the investment where now the women and the men play alongside, train alongside each other since we've done some improvements at Carrington. So, it's moving in the right direction, and there's plenty of goals in that league. So, Women's Super League is happening tonight. On Sunday, you've got Aston Villa and Liverpool at 12 o'clock. They're all 12 o'clock kickoffs, apart from Manchester United versus Arsenal at 10-3. Right, that is the Theatre of Dreams podcast. Extra time. You've been listening to Richard Irvine. Dunbar's out on his remote location, and Rod Maxwell will be back again very soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.